that folks are talking about as well. And EU's top diplomat says bloc set to okay sanctions on violent Israeli settlers. So that is something that folks are talking about as well. And definitely momentum builds for Israel sanctions. The bloc EU officials say the bloc is weighing separate sanction packages against violent settlers and 10 Hamas members. That's some of the things that are going on in the world, and all along those lines. As I said, Russia killed 3 Ukrainians in 24 hours and accused Kyiv of violating the truce. But Ukraine reports Russian attacks and battlefield clashes despite the ceasefire. And Trump says Russia and Ukraine have agreed to his request for a 3-day ceasefire. So we'll see if there's going to be maybe an end to the war. It seems like even Putin is talking about this idea and all along those lines. And a prominent Buddhist monk has been arrested over alleged sexual abuse in Sri Lanka. Buddhist monk arrested over alleged rape of teen in Sri Lanka. So senior Sri Lankan monk arrested for this alleged child sex crime. And in the Philippines, Vice President Sara Duterte is being impeached for a second time. Sara Duterte, Philippines Vice President, is impeached again. And apparently she was also a presidential hopeful, and now she's awaiting a Senate trial. And it looks like Israeli settlers are forcing Palestinian families to exhume and rebury their father. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about. Also, the Hormuz is very much in the news. UK and France to host multinational meeting on mission to escort ships through the Hormuz. And Iran warns British warships deployed to the Strait of Hormuz will be met with, it sounds like they'll be meeting it with violence and all along those lines. France didn't consider naval deployment to reopen Hormuz, is what Macron is saying. And of course, there's still people talking about the Venice Biennale, and the Israeli artist slammed the Venice Biennale participation again, Israel as a victim. So definitely it looks like more than 70 Venice Biennale artists withdrew from the awards. So Venice Biennale opened a couple of days ago without a jury amid strife over Russian and Israeli participation. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And the Latvian defense minister resigns after Ukrainian drones hit an oil tanks. So that's definitely some stuff going on in the world and around the world. Let's see what's happening in the U.S. and we'll get to bring in at least one panelist. We'll see if we got others as well. But as Trump heads to Beijing, China is locked and loaded for a fight, is what the New York Times is reporting. And Iran, China, and AI collide in the way that they're going to handle all in that space. And Donald Trump rejects Iran's response to ceasefire proposal. So it looks like there still some possibilities of ceasefires, but maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. 6 people found dead in a train boxcar in Laredo, Texas. And definitely that's some interesting news as 6 people were found dead inside Union Pacific cargo train boxcar and everything like that. Might have to get in touch with my friend and a fellow Marquette graduate, Danny Hermosilio, because I remember that he used to work for a TV station in Laredo, and then I think he went to work for either Red Cross or one of the agencies down there as well. So as far as I know, he's still down there. So maybe I'll get some reporting to see what's going on in Laredo and all along those lines. Abraham Foxman, warrior against anti-Semitism, has passed away at the age of 86. So this U.S. Jewish leader has passed away. He was a longtime anti-defamation leader known as the Jewish Pope. And one person reported in the forward that he always answered his calls. So definitely he was a definite advocate and all in that space. It's getting unfriendlier. International students race to find jobs. So as visa rules tighten, impacts to researchers and U.S. science is escalating. And there is no doubt, and even the Seattle Times is reporting, immigrants have made huge contributions to U.S. science. And capital agenda inside the House versus Senate rifts threatening the GOP agenda. So the House versus Senate rift threatens the GOP agenda, and we'll see how this all plays out as well. And Pete Hegseth seeks Pentagon review of Mark Kelly's public comments. Pentagon will review Senator Mark Kelly's comments about U.S. weapon stockpiles. So Hegseth says Pentagon will review Mark Kelly's public statements about classified briefings amid an ongoing feud. So let me see what folks have got going on in their world as I bring in some of my regulars, including Rick Rosner and, of course, Sasha Starr. Matter of fact, I think I'll ask Sasha the first question and everything like that, and now hear what Rick's got going on and what Dredd is talking about. But Sasha, and I know you'll be talking about this tomorrow on your show. It looks like there are signs that Putin is ready to give up this war and to have an end to the war. I know he's been losing a lot of soldiers, and of course he had his annual march and everything like that. But there are signs, and I think he tried to appoint a certain lady to be the mediator. But it sounds like he is starting to warm up to the idea of ending this war and everything like that. And it's been going on now for a number of years. So, what is your take? Are we about to end this war or not?
Um, well, it depends a lot of Ukrainians. I think Putin has no power to decide whether to continue war or finish the war because he just had a couple days ago the parade for victory Russia in the Second World War. And he had to get permission from Zelensky to hold such a parade because Zelensky could send thousands of drones and missiles and destroy this parade. So Zelensky agreed and gave permission for such a parade. So can you imagine if a leader of one of the countries, before holding its parade, has to ask his enemy permission to hold such a parade? That tells you a lot, and I don't know. Well, probably Ukrainians will agree to some reasonable peace proposal. First of all, it has to be reasonable peace proposal because what's happening before Putin demanded to Ukraine to withdraw from Donbass, where it holds substantial territory, and his reasoning was that look, we will take it anyway. But it will take a few months here and there, but it doesn't matter. The result is already decided. No more talk like that. No more talk now. There are no preconditions. Now that the Ukrainians will have to give up Donbass or anything. I think Ukrainians can do the same thing what Iran is doing to the United States, not to agree to anything. Just whatever U.S. is proposing, not even to reply to that, and just leave it.
Yeah, that makes a
Ukrainians.
lot of sense and everything like that. Hey, Rick, I did have a question, not about world events, but I was watching maybe it was 60 Minutes or one of the other shows, news shows yesterday, and they were talking about this gentleman. There's a reality store star in LA that's got a good shot of upsetting the
Yes.
Democratic hold because he's a
Yeah,
major reality.
all right, Spencer Pratt.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a good shot. My wife is following the race pretty closely, and even though Karen Bass who's the current mayor, got a lot of criticism for the fires that took out 16,000 homes, she's still the front runner, and people I think are going to reluctantly vote for her over other candidates such as Nithya Raman. And yeah, Spencer Pratt, he's pretty Trumpy in a town that is very liberal. You're not. I don't know how much traction you can get. Being a super right leaning guy in L.A.
You know, I was just wondering. I saw that in the news, and they were definitely saying he was a Trump supporter and all along those lines.
Yeah.
But they were, I guess, playing up his ability to get in front of the media and everything like that. And speaking of getting in front of the
Yeah, he
media,
did. He did one of those freaking. He didn't do it. People supporting him did a vicious attack ad that people like these days. People like mean ads, but LA is 75, 80% anti-Trump. So it's a bad environment if you're running on being a Trump supporter.
speaking of
Go
just really
ahead.
quickly, speaking of bad environment and everything like that, I also saw that I think this is the week that Jimmy Kimmel will have his. Seth Colbert will have his last show, but I think Kimmel and others will be appearing and everything like that. So, what's your take? And I think there might have even been an announcement about Kimmel and what his future is and everything like that. But it does look like there's still this battle between late night host and Trump and everything like that. But I
Well,
did see that.
Kimmel himself, like fewer and fewer people watch network TV.
Right.
When we were growing up, there were 3 broadcast networks and then 4. And then you had PBS, which you only watched when you were desperate. But now there are dozens and hundreds of channels to watch. You can watch shows whenever you want, and this eats this. This takes away several percent of the viewing audience for network every year, and if there's a strike, they lose 10%. It never comes back. So Kimmel himself says that late night is going away, that it may not exist in a few years. And yeah, Colbert, this is his last week. He's pretty beloved by the people who still, by his fans. I'm hoping that, like you said, Kimmel is going on Colbert to say goodbye this week.
I think it's Kimmel's. Yes, I saw that on the
So I like that the late night hosts visit each other's shows. That makes
I think all of them are supposed to be going, because I think that what's the other major one?
Jimmy Fallon.
Right, Fallon.
So I like that they visit each other. It makes for more entertaining shows. When Johnny Carson was on in the 60s and 70s, his show was an hour and a half long, and he would stack up guests. You might get 2 or 3 or 4 guests all on together. He'd just keep bringing them out, and the interplay. You've got 2 or 3 or 4 funny people bouncing, riffing on each other, made for great entertainment. So I'm hoping that we see a little bit of that on the remaining late night shows, they just keep guesting and that you see a little bit of clustering on the couch.
No.
Well, they used to have a couch. They don't really even have a couch anymore. It's one seat next to the host. They used to have a couch so you could stack up guests.
Yeah. They definitely hit that. What are you seeing on Drudge? Like I said, I mentioned some of the stories.
So hantavirus, there's this deadly virus that you catch from rats and mice, and several people caught it on board this Antarctic cruise ship, and some have died, and they're tracking the remaining people on the ship, and people are confusing the contagiousness of hantavirus with COVID. COVID, highly contagious, which led to a pandemic that killed about 1.4 million Americans. Hantavirus, not very contagious between people. It really helps to have a rat in the mix if you want to catch hantavirus. So there's a lot of freaking out, but it's a totally different situation. They do need to track everybody who was exposed to it, but it's not going to lead to a pandemic.
No, it won't lead to a pandemic. But
one more thing. COVID numbers are the lowest they've been in 5 years. Only 1,500 people a week are showing up in emergency rooms with COVID. Now, more people than that have it. Just a lot of people don't even know they have it at this point, or just they work through it. They don't show up at the hospital. But it's a good time for not being sick.
Well, speaking of not being sick, I did see some intricate outfits. It looked like they were almost like the seats were covered, and it was almost like being in one of those tubes that they would put people in when they were suffering from different diseases in the planes that are flying from the Canary Islands to the various countries. So they did show on one of the shows I was watching the intricate ways that they're basically almost air packaging the people into the plane so that they don't get further spread of the virus.
Okay, that's where the ship is what you're saying. The ship was allowed to dock in the Canary Islands, which are these little islands, I don't know, 600-800 miles off the coast of Spain.
Right.
And I guess everybody who was on the ship, you're saying that they're putting them in hazmat suits.
It's basically like, it's not even a hazmat suit. It's like plastic wrap, like they would put, like the seats were covered and you were almost sitting in the plastic seats and everything. So
okay. But and it's good they're being careful. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to see a worldwide outbreak of hantavirus.
Yeah. And that's even what the WHO director said, because I did watch his speech as well, and he's like, it's not going to be anything like the pandemic. By the way, this week, because this is the final week for Stephen Colbert and everything like that, it looks like among his guests are David Letterman, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, and John Oliver. So that's who he's got this week as he's winding down.
So those will be great guests, because they're all, what you want on a talk show is people who are really smart and funny and fast.
Right.
Like that was my problem in working on talk shows is I can be a little funny, but I'm not fast like frickin' Kimmel and Adam Carolla and all these guys. Bam, bam, bam. They can come up with a funny thing to say in the moment, and that's a rare thing. And you need natural ability, and you need like 20 years in a situation like Kimmel comes out of radio, right? So he was on the radio for 20 years in a bunch of different cities before he got TV work, and that's great training. Well, because you come from radio, that you don't want any dead air.
Nope.
And then so people come from radio, they come from stand up, all those, and these where you're bouncing stuff rapid fire off an audience, and so it'll be a good week of shows. I think people should tune in.
Yeah, it sounds like a good week of shows. I was also watching a young lady that might have been on the CBS News this morning that was apparently a young reporter as an 8-year-old, and now she's a teenager reporter. So she got to go on one of the networks and everything like that. It looked like she was an Asian American young lady, but she's already knowing that she wants to be a reporter as a youngster. I think it's Sky News reporter or something like that. But I think Sky might be her name and everything along those lines. But she's already got these ambitions of doing the news and everything like that. Hey, Sasha, when it comes to other parts of the world with conflicts and everything like that, we also got the Strait of Hormuz that is closed off, and apparently the U.S. fired on and disabled 2 more Iranian tankers, and apparently the current president has rejected the latest counter offer from Iran. So is this war ever going to come to an end? And what's going on with the opening of the Strait of Hormuz? Because I think that maybe some of the countries are going to help open it up, and there's other ones like France that don't want to help in the opening it up. So how long will the Strait of Hormuz be shut down, and when do you think this will end so that our gas prices can get back to a sense of normality?
What will be the end of this all? American will withdraw all their troops from the Middle East. They will pay reparations to Iran in tune of probably $500 billion, and all sanctions will be lifted against Iran. And the U.S. will lose all its international prestige, power, and will have to withdraw to its home base, and that will be naturally the end of Trump and his presidency and the rule of his kleptocracy. And that's what's happening right now. Iranians are smart enough to figure out that Trump has no time. He cannot sit there indefinitely and plan because his trip to China is upcoming. There is a fiasco of the World Soccer Championship. The hotels has less business than in any previous years without any World Championship. So in other words, the World Championship actually hurting U.S. business instead of helping. There is a boycott of international funds to attend this ridiculous packages of thousands of dollars. Like I've heard one program, and there is a family of 4 to watch a couple of matches. They had to spend $17,000. Plus parking fees, several $100s and so on. It's just insane, and it's collapsing big time. There is only 1 month actually left until beginning, and there is nothing to be done to save it. So this is a situation, and the Iranians are very smart to figure out that Trump is running out of time. He needs something quickly, and they will not allow him to have pleasure of peacefully withdraw from the Middle East.
Yeah, Iran is fucking with Trump. I can't say they're enjoying what's happening to them, but I would say that there's probably in the Iranian leadership, there's a certain amount of glee that they're, what's the phrase, hoisting him by his own petard, that they're making him, they're punishing him for his own dumb actions. And he's experienced today. Trump had the biggest drop in the percentage of Americans who approve, biggest one-day drop that he's ever had. He went from 38.8% approval to 37.6% approval. Now, I'm not sure if that's legit because this is an average approval, and there's one bad survey in here where the numbers are just crazy, where Rasmussen is a surveyor, a pollster, that usually finds that people support Trump more than what other pollsters find. But they came out with numbers that say that 21% of Americans approve, 28% disapprove, which means that 51% of Americans are, I don't know what to think of Trump anymore. And this is a pollster that usually shows strong support for Trump. So I don't know if that's some kind of weird blip, or if Americans who normally would support Trump are really saying, I don't know what to think anymore.
Well, there's probably a lot of that. I don't know what to think. I know that even spending Mother's Day with my own mom and some of the family members, including my brother and two nephews and everything, politics and other things did come up in our conversation. And one of the politics things that we were talking about was the redistricting that is going on. Because right now it looks like Republicans will gain about 8 seats, and if the math is still holding up, so that means that they might actually retain the House. And
they won't. They frickin' won't. The Kalshi, the most betting services, predicting services, and really you can't. A statistician will say that you can't really use polls and predictors to actually predict, because it's just a snapshot in time. We're still 5.5 months out, but even so, if you want to go off these betting markets and predictors, they're saying roughly the Dems have a 75% to 80 to 85% chance of retaking the House. I would put it even higher, especially if Trump's approval of 37% holds, and it could go even lower because gas prices aren't going lower. If it holds, that will be the second lowest approval since they started measuring approval 80 years ago in the Harry Truman administration. And there's a strong correlation, statistical correlation. The lower the president's approval, the more seats in the House you lose. And the Republicans already had a teeny margin. They can only afford to lose 2 seats. And when your approval is this low, historically, you're going to lose 30 to 50 seats. And so the Republicans can play electoral games and hold on to 8 seats that they should have lost. But that still means they lose another 20, 25, 30 seats, and they lose the House.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't look like they will lose the Senate. The Senate will probably be still in their control, but there might be some mysterious things that happen. Dr. Sharif, you joined us. Glad to see you joining us from your neck of the woods and everything like that. So what's taking place in your world? How are y'all following what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz and what's going on in Ukraine and even some of the African nations and other places, and even the dispute between the Pope and President Trump? So what's happening in your world, and what are y'all looking at in the news from your perspective?
If I want to share my today's experience, the basic thing is that the price of the food is increasing in Bangladesh. It's mean that we have many poor people, definitely, compared to USA, and they are in the trouble. If price of food is increasing, it means that it has impact from this energy, from this wire, from all of the immigrations or any other challenging situations actually US president put to this emerging economy. It has impact. And uh, you have to understand, like if the egg price increase per piece like 3 to 5 taka, like 5 cents, for you it's nothing, but for Bangladesh, many of the poor people, it's actually uh, very challenging. So where we can contribute, because the challenges of food, challenges of energy, challenges of politics, challenges of immigrations and business, all of the big talk I can discuss, but we need to go for very specific solution for these communities. Honestly speaking, how I see that, I have very great friend from North America. All of them are brilliant, like today's sessions. All of you are very intelligent, and all of you have very good capacity. But unfortunately, US politics and policy, as well as your capitalism, your all of the trillion-dollar company, billion-dollar company, or the billionaires and so on, it's actually heavy burden for economy, not only for Bangladeshi people, not only for African people, not only for these emerging countries people, not only for USA people, it's for everyone. Why? Because with this all of the war, with this all of the oligarch, with all of the challenging situation done by this kind of elite group of people. So what we can do? We can do more collaborations with emerging economy. Why? You can develop your sympathy, empathy, understand, and everything, which is absent in US leadership, US political peoples, and so on. And secondly, this way, American people, those who have challenge, they also can get economic freedom. So today I'm just discussing about Abhijit Banerjee's solution, why he win Nobel Prize, because he understand what is happening around the world is creating more problem for the poor people. So we need to uplift our grassroots level community, most of the 70% populations around the world, and we need to work closely with technology, with financial innovations, with maybe startup, with maybe social business, with maybe NGO, with foundation, or with startup incubations. So that is the things I'm closely working with in between this community with my World Talent Economic Forum. I hope the Western world, through Spot TV, through our this kind of dialogue, they can understand that every people in this planet, they have uh, they we should give them opportunity to live a good planet. So that's why I think that this is very challenging moment, not only for USA but also for Bangladesh or Africa or India and everyone. And we need to work closely to overcome from this challenging situation. That's why we build up this north-south corridor. I want to welcome you all in north-south corridor to solve all of the social problem with your innovation. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Hey, I've got a question for you, Rick, as well as Shaquille and Sasha may want to jump in this one also. It's around AI because we got China and Trump meeting, and they're going to negotiate possibly an AI agreement. And some people are saying that we may be giving Chinese keys to the city or keys to the control room and everything like that because they do have a lot of power already in the AI space and everything like that. I know that even using AI, my brother's Slingshot Club created a jingle or like a commercial kind of about their Slingshot Club, and it was strictly done with AI. And even my younger brother was saying that he sees where AI will be creating a lot of jobs, and we all might be working for AI very soon, and all along those lines, because they were able to do 6 songs very well done. They sounded like stuff you would hear on the radio, and they did it in 15 minutes and everything like that.
All right. So what's the question here?
How one? It's a two-part question. One is, should we be concerned about China's role in the AI infrastructure and everything like
We
that?
should be concerned about everybody's role in AI because everybody is financially compromised by greed with regard to AI. In
Right.
America, it's the big AI companies run by tech bros who
Right.
tend to think we'll figure out the problems with it as they come. Meanwhile, there's a lot of money to be made. And China, is more of an entrepreneurial dictatorship, but it's still wanting to make AI go fast is overwhelming some reasonable caution. So AI is. Well, hold on, Sasha. Let me say one more thing, which is that for hundreds of years, people have said that tech will take away jobs from people, and it hasn't been true with other forms of tech, but it might be true with AI. Now, Sasha, sorry.
Well, I would like to mention that AI trade today in a stock market is by far the biggest sector, and that's the only reason why U.S. market is climbing higher and higher. All other industries are dead. There is only AI trade that sucks all money, attention, everything. So U.S. Administration has to be very careful not to hurt the only sector that performs. Chinese, objectively speaking, they are far ahead of the United States. In the United States cannot fight China in the long run. It's quite obvious. I even don't understand the reasons why Trump is going to China. Okay, so he arrives, he's getting himself or his health out of his airplane. So Xi will ask Mr. Trump, it's nice to see you, how can I help you? What Trump is going to say to Xi? What exactly he came for? What does he need? What does he want? Is Xi in a position to provide him with whatever he wants, or he will reject it outright and say, Mr. Trump, sorry, this time I cannot help you. Bye-bye. I don't see what's happening.
So AI is going to reshape the world in great and horrible and weird ways. And AI could contribute to trends that that make a lot of people dead. There's a risk of that. But if you look at the whole history of humanity, there have been 110 billion humans who've ever lived, and most of them are frickin' dead. Being killed by the world is nothing new. And AI is just going to give us new ways to not be alive anymore.
Yeah,
But it's not going to happen in one day event. What's happened is that it's industry by industry. Let's see, AI, they will take away jobs in medicine for sure, in office spaces, and all those financial consultants. They will be the first one probably who will be dead, and they have to start buying cemetery plots for themselves anytime soon. There are many other industries, but it's going to in stages. This year it's going to be more or less office space workers, medicine, and slowly it will take all this evolution will take, in my estimation, probably 10 plus years.
So, man, that's where I think the experts in AI, that's where the main disagreement is some people say weirdness is going to hit in 3 years. Other people say 10 years. Other people say 20 years. But I think that 90% of people who look at AI say things are going to get weird at either really soon or in the mid future.
I mean, they say that if you saw me chuckling earlier, I was chuckling because I do multitasking, and one of the multitasks I do sometimes is I will see what's going on in my grading company. And I was actually seeing a paper where a student was actually complaining because they were saying that things are being graded by AI and everything like that. So they were basically doing what we call a refusal and everything like that and everything. They were basically saying that, hey, why are y'all even bothering to try to give us an A score, because this is all being graded by AI.
AI is wrecking college. American universities are under a huge amount. American universities down 15% in 15 years, especially among men. Colleges are now 3 women for every 2 men going to college. And everybody is using AI to write their papers.
But
So,
Rick,
and
in that same regards and everything, and I want to get to a serious money topic. I was watching another news story earlier today, and they were talking about there being what they called, and I think you talked about on this network before, a dating recession. So I guess people are not dating as much or going out as much because they can't afford it, and also there's other factors as well. But there was a whole young lady, and I think she's based here where I'm at in North Carolina, that's talking about this whole notion of there being a dating recession. So this is here in the East Coast. Is there a dating recession in the West Coast? Are you still seeing people hooking up and trying to go out?
LA has always been thought of by the people who live here as a terrible place to date because it's an entertainment industry town. So everybody knows how much they're worth in terms of attractiveness, and everybody's looking for the bigger, better deal. A lot of people come out to LA to make their dreams come true, to trade on their talent. And so everybody with dating in LA, stereotypically, they've got one eye on their date and they've got one eye on opportunities elsewhere. I would say that what happens things happen in LA first and then they spread to the rest of the country. And I would say that, yeah, that kind of everybody has super high expectations of what they want.
Well, the expectations have to do with money, apparently, Rick, because they're saying that rising costs are pushing young Americans to rethink their dating habits. And the term dating recession apparently refers to a significant decline in dating activity among young adults, with only about 1 in 3 young adults actively dating. And they're saying this
when my wife and I first
low dating confidence, financial barriers, and a lack of effective dating skills. So I don't know, maybe it's not that bad in where
but people will not tolerate a cheap date anymore. When my wife and I first started dating, we found a spaghetti place close to where we were living, where the two of us could have spaghetti and be out of there for $10.
Right.
That's a cheap ass date. And we would go to free movie screenings. We'd go to the mall where they'd hand out like passes to watch a movie and then that hadn't been released yet and then give your opinion. So it was a free movie. It was $10 spaghetti for 2 people, and there's no place you can get $10 spaghetti. Our price point when we go out to dinner, we rarely can go out to dinner for 2 people for under $50.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Dr. Sharif, you teach a lot of young people. Are there a lot of folks going out on dates and going out even just, not even romantic dates, but just hanging out as much in Bangladesh? It is a poor country and everything like that. So how are people doing it? Do you see a lot of young people hanging out together and even going to restaurants, or is it the same thing that Rick was talking about?
Look, culturally, Bangladesh is very rich. Like we have 5,000 years of cultural heritage and so on. And what you say, I can understand. Like if you see this world fastest growing billionaire, according to IMF and World Bank, it's from Bangladesh. Secondly, if you see the history of the rich community, you can find, according to Adam Smith, this Bongo, specifically this India and Bongo means Bangladesh. Then this China, western part of China and Egypt, they were one of the richest communities in this planet. Okay, so when you discuss about the death and other things, Bangladesh has around 57% youth, right? So love, emotions, music, everything actually work in our love and dating and relationship. Even I can remember when I started my MBA program, that time, first time I meet with my wife, that time she was my classmate. And we started our debating academy, with one of the American professors. World debate institutions, we started these debating activities, and then we, as a team, we start working on culture, working on social night, working on this dinner, lunch, even class. That is the way that this human relationship grow, right? The same way what you see in this North America, the same way the dating and other things uh, grow in Bangladesh. But because of social media now, everyone is connected. Maybe it's fast compared to my 16 years before experience. uh, but another thing, as Bangladesh is a Muslim country, so it's not like California or LA, our relationship. We respect our religious views and so on. But overall, I'm very impressed by the youth communities of South Asia. They are very, very impressive, very hardworking. They are very committed for their family. Family is very important, you know. So, uh, so yeah, I respect and I find very positive things from the youth community.
Yeah, it makes sense and everything. Hey, Sasha, coming back to the news and everything like that, I had heard that recently. I think that Trump said that the war was not going to cost so much money, but I think that the war in uh, between us and Iran has already cost 25 billion, and some people are saying that that's a low estimate. It might be closer to 50 billion if the war continues. It may be.
Let's say 100 billion.
Yeah.
If you throw in the amount of extra money Americans have to pay for gas.
Right. So is this war gonna? And we've already been complaining that we're already pretty much broke. I mean, that's part of what David Walker's whole book, "America's Still a Superpower," is about, and everything like that. So, can we even afford to lose this kind of money? I guess that's the question I got for everybody on the panel, because that's a lot of money, even if it's as low as 25 billion. But I do agree.
Mark, it's absolutely immaterial things because Trump's friends are making out in the stock market more money than U.S. is losing in this Iranian war. I'll tell you that. And they actually the only thing why Trump is motivated to continue this situation is to enrich his friends with even more money. Like today, $7 billion were made for the market open on an oil trade. So there are a lot of motivation for Trump and his friends to continue the war. The problem is it's not really up to Trump and his friends. No, it's Iran who is dictating today what's happened, and so on. And Iran doesn't want to allow U.S. so cheaply and quickly to withdraw from the war. No, they want to extract a very high price for America to pay in order to end the war and get some kind of a peace agreement. So Iranians are playing hardball. They know, see, here is the biggest weakness of US. They know for sure that US cannot afford the land invasion. They know that for sure. And without land invasion, there is nothing United States and Israel can do against Iran. Nothing. That's it. So they're playing their cards effectively, precisely, and US has to agree to all Iranian demands, pay the money, and get the hell out of there.
Well, what Iran knows is what it takes to invade Iran. In 1980, Iraq invaded Iran with 200,000 soldiers, 3,000 tanks, hundreds of planes. It did not defeat Iran. Iran fought them to a stalemate for 7 years. With the U.S., it would be crazy, even crazier than Trump is, to commit hundreds of thousands of troops and have them have to cross 350 miles of country to get to the capital city. There's no easy access to Tehran, a city of 10 million people. A land invasion would, it's not, Iraq was fairly easy to knock over. Iran is defended by its sheer size.
It makes sense, definitely.
At one point, I want to add, as can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We hear you.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. One point I want to add. Here is the difference, because I think Rick or those who attend in the first day of the Iran and USA wire, that time I said that Iran has 1,000 year of culture and heritage. It will be almost impossible to defeat Iran, uh, even if USA come. That time I also discussed this point. And here is the things. Um, when I was young, let's say I was 10 years old or something, that time I saw that globalizations, USA bring the point of globalizations, right? Uh, and I think this is one of the biggest mistake US did. That's why China become the global economic power, because USA shift all of their manufacturing and everything to China. And now we understand that was one of the biggest mistake USA did. The same way, the more you use or depend on AI and technology, right? Intellectually, you will not be capable, right? Your next generations, intellectually, they will not be good, right? The more you depend on AI, the more you depend on technology, the more you depend on these things. So you can find that STEM educations, like South Asian people like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, they are very good in science, in mathematics and physics and so on. So that's why I am fully focused on wisdom. Let's say Kimberly, right? She has her own wisdom through her educations, through her experience. Everybody has wisdom. Sasha has, Rick has, Markley has. The same way, like this globalization, I think that US corporation, they are doing another mistake with introducing all of the AI, this data and so on. And this will be very challenging for US people, US youth communities, and many of the my friend even in US, and right now they are losing job and economically they are heavily affected and so on. Even in Bangladesh, I see that India, some of the garments industry, because Bangladesh has garments industry, they're introducing AI. So AI will learn from the worker how to create shirt and pant and so on. So maybe soon, even in Bangladesh, they will lose their manufacturing industry like garments industry. So this is another mistake uh, which is happening in Silicon Valley. So I want to prefer on wisdom. So I am creating wisdom in between my youth community. Hope this wisdom affairs, what I'm developing World Talent Economic Forum with research, innovations, and the social business. This will help our community a lot, and I want to welcome you in our wisdom affairs. It will help your community and help your economy. Thanks.
Here's
Appreciate it.
one of the top articles on Drudge. China's long game. Beijing is patiently waiting for the U.S. to flame out. And we've been talking about this. It pops up quite frequently on this show, where China can afford to be patient. They've got 4 times our population. They've got a huge manufacturing infrastructure with 150 manufacturing cities with more than 1 million people in them each. So, and China is just kind of waiting, like the US is, what according to this article, riven by and torn apart by internal politics and consumed by war in the Persian Gulf. In private conversations and public writings, China's leaders and their advisors often describe America as declining but dangerous, a late stage power prone to bursts of aggression in the hopes of arresting its slide. So as long as America remains divided between MAGA yahoos and libs who are bad at messaging, we're in deeper trouble than we need to be. If we want to,
Go ahead. Speaking of that, like that, I was just going to say really quickly that I did see that Kim had joined us and everything like that. I think that we'll be rejoining Economics Monday and Media Monday, but next week and everything like that, because people are dealing with Mother's Day and holiday. But I did want to do the news show, and I know we've got reruns of Timeshare for a few weeks and everything like that. So that'll be coming up. and all along those lines. But I do have a question for you, Kim, based on some of the conversation we've been having, because one of the very liberal ideas that is out there is apparently, and they're saying it could hurt our economy, but I think that AOC is floating this idea of a $25 minimum wage and everything like that, and some of the folks are upset because they're saying that could upset the economy and upset small businesses and everything like that. But I mean, we've been stuck on $7 forever, as far as I know, and everything.
Yeah, LA, Los Angeles has a $25 minimum wage, and it's not wrecking Los Angeles. I mean, some things are wrecking Los Angeles, but a high minimum wage is not.
You have to look at the economy at a whole in the local area that you're in. $25 an hour doesn't hurt the economy of LA, but it could hurt a small town, like Gardner, where the people are mostly farming community and things like that. I think you have to take a look at the local environment before you impose something like that. But I think if we reeled in our economy, stop the wars, fix some of the problems, get rid of, impeach the administration that's existing right now, I think we can clean up this mess. Warren Buffett has suggested some ideas. You've got some of the world's most intelligent financial people willing to step up and fix it. I think Clinton and Obama would even step in and discuss on how to fix where we're at. But the gas prices are going to continue going up, and that's going to continue to cause low-income people to struggle. The promise of no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, that's going away, because in one of the bill reviews, the Trump's bills that they were reviewing, and I sat through the whole thing a lot, and because I watched it more than once, they said that they're going to have to increase the taxes, increase it. And on lower income, because there's more people in the lower income, and that will cause more tax to flow in. Warren Buffett says if you tax, the wealthy the same as you do the lower income, we'll fix this problem if you don't allow them the tax deductions. So, I mean, there's several ways to do this, and fair ways to do it. I know the wealthy think, well, I employ people, so I shouldn't have to pay taxes. No, you should have to pay taxes. But now they're discussing removing the tax from gas. I don't know if y'all have heard that.
I did hear that, yeah.
So, but I just don't think we're heading in the right direction, like, everyone keeps talking about. We're going in the wrong direction. I have to assume, like everyone else, that it must be really bad. It is actually in the Epstein files for Trump to cause all this chaos, to direct our attention towards war. One of the things that upsets me more than anything is he'll put our children at risk in war, but he will not put his child at risk.
So we're talking about getting rid of the federal gas tax to help with the cost of gas. We haven't talked about how much it is. It's 18.5 cents a gallon. So when gas gets up to $4.80, knocking off 18 cents is not going to help that much.
No, but MAGA brains can't do a math. Okay, no. Rick, you have to remember the MAGA brains fail the capacity to be able to understand the consequences of their choices, and they don't do math very well.
No, they surrender. Like I'm on, like I always say, I'm on X a lot. There are plenty of MAGAs who have advanced degrees, doctors, lawyers, nurses, so they can do the math if they want to. But they willingly get bullshitted. They surrender their skepticism, because they want that framework that makes them feel like everything's okay with Trump in charge.
Yep, everything's okay with that.
Big Daddy is not doing a good job of it. If you ask me,
not doing a good job and everything. I know we're winding down, and like I said, the other shows we will have a rerun of Timeshare. I did meet the billionaire owners of the San Diego Padres. Like I said, I was on Friday. The lady was Very nice, and I think she has some relatives here in North Carolina. So they're going to Bennett, which is in Greensboro, and doing another one of the shows/showcases, and then they're traveling around the country and everything like that. But her and her husband did buy the Padres, so she'll be the first first Black woman owner if the deal goes through, and it looks like it's going to go through, and he'll be the second Latin American owner and everything like that. And Sasha, I know you follow soccer. They also own the Chelsea soccer team as well. So I think the husband bought the team maybe even before they got married, but they own the Chelsea team there in London and everything. But I do know that in addition to following Chelsea, you are a soccer fan as well.
Yeah, Chelsea is improving very rapidly, and I think next year they will be in fight for a gold medal in soccer, English Premier League.
And it's good to have owners who are billionaires. I mean, that's what, because you need to spend a ton of money to be competitive and to stay up. They're neck and neck with the Dodgers year after year, which means.
Well, I was also teasing, and Kim, you'll get a kick out of this as we go just a few minutes over. I did learn one of the secrets to being a billionaire, because they have like a little button that you press to get like a little trinket award and everything like that to show that you had been on the bus. The trinkets were not all that much. It was like a little pennant, and it was like a little piece of paper. So they did not spend a lot of money in terms of what they were giving the public. So that might be one of the secrets to being a billionaire, is to not spend a lot of money if you're going to be given thousands or millions of gifts. Because like I said, when I got the little ball and I pulled up and opened the little ball and saw what the gift was, I'm like, they didn't really spend a lot of money.
Well, there's various different mindsets when you cross over a certain threshold, as Nick and I, when we interviewed some of these people, and we learned that the truest way to maintain what you've earned is what? Manage it.
Right.
Just manage it well. And that's one of the things that Nick and I was focused on, was inspiring financial literacy. Are we doing the show, economics and media?
That's what I said. I looked into Nick's account while we were doing this show. He did not set up one, and so I don't think anybody's been in touch with David Walker. So I think that show will come back on next week, and the same with Media Monday, because I didn't see either one of those set up and everything like that. So it looks like we're having just reruns until reruns until about evening time, because I know that the timeshare is also a rerun. So then we'll come back to regular schedule on Tuesday.
Well, until tomorrow, everyone, please take care.
Yep. I can get that out.